So now that we've had a look at our initial considerations, we've gone through, we've done our sort of scoping with our client. We understand where they're coming from and what it is that they want to find out, what do they want us to look at, and how that's going to be dealt with. We've gone through and we've looked at the external marketing environment, so we know what's going on out there and we've got a good understanding of the customers and the space we're operating in. Now what we need to do is take the last little view, which is really getting back into our internal marketing environment and having a look at ourselves, okay, or what's actually going on here for the company. So there's a few things that we need to know, and one of the first things we need to know is, what are our current objectives? Okay, so our marketing, what is it trying to achieve? Okay, we need to know what our marketing is trying to achieve, where it's going, what is the point? We need to know what the current strategies are. So how are we achieving it? Okay, so, once we know what the objective is, the strategy, how are we doing it? Okay, how are we applying the marketing mix? Apply the mix. Okay, so what have we got in place? What are our 4 Ps or our 7 Ps if we're going for the expanded environment? How are we applying that? Okay, how is that currently on the ground? We need to think about, are we controlling this? Are controls effective? In other words, how are we monitoring, how are we measuring things like our spending, our productivity, all those bits and pieces, okay? How is that being tracked? Who is it being tracked by? Who's got the oversight of that? Okay, how is this all working within the organization? And also, are we on budget? Okay, so are they spending the right amount of money? Are they overspending? Are they underspending? Okay, so what's happening to the budgetary considerations? All right, so they're the first things we need to know, obviously. We then start to think about, are we realizing our SMART goals? So are we currently reaching goals? And we're talking about SMART. Okay, so, are we currently reaching the goals that we set for the marketing activities? That's not to say that, oh yeah, we are, great work, good job, go home. We might have set the goals too low. We might have the wrong goals. We might be reaching the wrong thing. So what we're trying to look there to make sure that the goals have been set appropriately in the first place. As we say, just a quick one on SMART. Are the goals specific? Are they numbered? Are they not too broad or too general? Are they measurable so we can track it? Are they achievable? Can they actually be reached? Or have we set something unrealistic? Or do we set something too low? We made it very achievable. Anyone can hit it. Relevant, realistic, that's the next one we might look at. Were they relevant? Did the goals that we set make sense for our company, or were they realistic that we can achieve them, etc.? And what about time bound? Okay, so what timings were put in place? So when did we need to have the profit? What needed to happen, etc.? Okay, so that's the timing factor. Okay, so SMART, if you're not really sure what a SMART goal system is, check into it, have a look at the SMART goal setting. That's pretty good, but are we reaching our goals? If you apply those principles, you'll see whether or not we are. And also the implementation. And what we're looking at there is, with our marketing plan that we already have in place, is it being implemented correctly? Are the right people doing it? Are they managing it? In other words, is it actually happening the way we said it was supposed to happen? Okay, so that's the key things that we need to start considering. So what are the objectives? What are the strategies to help us achieve those objectives? What is the current marketing mix and how are we applying that? Are the controls that are in place, so the measurements, the timings, etc., are they effective? Or are we not gathering information, or we have no idea what's going on out there? Are we on budget? So are we underspending, overspending, or spending correctly? Are we reaching the goals that have been set? SMART goals. And by the way, are they the correct goals? And then how are we implementing? Okay, so how are we putting these things on the ground to make sure that we're actually doing the business the way we said we're supposed to be doing the business? All right. Okay, so, and then the last consideration that we have is infrastructure. And this is really about asking a few questions, and that is, are we achieving financial targets? So are we achieving the financial targets? Are we getting the right profit margins? Are we getting, do we have the right liquidity in our company so there's enough cash floating around? Or are we all, tied up in something? Thinking about do we have cash or are we in debt? What's going on there? Equity ratios, using a financial ratio analysis, all that sort of thing. So what we want to do is understand the financials of the business, okay? So how are we going? How's it working? Are we achieving what we set out to do? Where are we at financially? That's a good one to know. Now, obviously, that's going to create some sensitivity, so tread carefully when asking those questions. Levels of staffing. Okay, so we need to know what the staffing levels are like. How many people do they have? Who are the key positions? How many vacancies do they have becomes a really good question as well. Do I have the right number of people working for my business or working in it? Sometimes they can actually be suffering a lack of staff filling positions. There's heaps of vacancies, and what that does is that really cuts down the ability to make the profit because you don't have enough people actually out there generating those things. We also need to know about the staff training. So how do they train and develop their people? Okay, so there's this real thing there that sometimes people think, oh, look, they'll learn on the job or they'll do those things. Yeah, that's pretty cool, but what we need to do is we really need to make sure that the staff are being trained correctly and that they're developing those staff to make them, effective and efficient at their job. And also we need to think about experience and learning. Okay, and what we're looking at there particularly is of about our competitors. Okay, what do we know about them? What is their profitability? Okay, so what have we learnt about our competitors over time? All right, so staff training development, levels of staffing very much tied together. So how many staff do they have? Who are the key staff? Also, what skill level do those people have? The reason we might want to know that is because if we want to go off and have a fairly advanced marketing campaign and they've got a whole bunch of really new, untrained, very, very fresh staff, then what's going to happen is my really complicated campaign that I'm going to put forward later can't be implemented by these people effectively and it won't achieve its goals. On the other hand, if they've got a really good team that have got a lot of experience and they know exactly what they're doing, it allows me a lot more flexibility when I'm coming to suggestions later. Also knowing how much money there is that's able to be spent, that's really going to shape some of my decision making later as well. So I need to really understand that. All right, so now that we've done that, we can start to come up with some of our plans. And what we really need to do is start thinking about the cost effectiveness of the plans that I implement. From all these, I've got a suggestion. Okay, I also need to think about how I'm going to make sure then my recommendations are cost effective. We can look at that cost effectiveness, benefit cost, or also benefit cost analysis. So what we're trying to do there is evaluate whether the projects that I'm going to recommend are worthwhile. Okay, so in other words, what's in it for us, right? What we want to do is we want to start thinking about looking at whether the benefits to the company outweigh the cost. If it's going to cost us a whole lot of money and it's not going to generate a whole lot of good, or we can't, when we're looking at these things, demonstrate how it's going to make money, well, why are we going to suggest the idea? Okay, when you do all this quantitatively, you can measure the dollar amounts, the benefits and the cost. Okay, it's very easy to see. So if I put this much money in, what's it going to give me? Okay, so that's what we need to understand from there. So that when we make the recommendations, we can make sure that it's cost effective in that it ties into all these different factors, okay? Staff training, well, that's going to be an expense, yes. It's going to cost me a lot of money to train those staff, but and we can come up with the exact dollar figure, but what we should get back from that training is an increase in sales of maybe 5 or 10%. Okay, if each person is selling 100 of these pens a week, for a profit of $1 per pen, and I can increase that by 5 or 10%, that means that each staff member is going to earn me an additional $5 or $10 a week. When I think about the training cost was only $100, in 10 weeks I turn cash positive. You can do the maths like that. So how much is it going to cost me, and what should I expect to receive off the other end of it? Okay, because when we make our recommendations, we want to make sure we can back them up and that they actually make financial sense. So that means turn it into dollar terms and look at it quantitatively, okay? If all we get is very subjective information and it's hard to quantify, sometimes we really need to think about, do we really want to do it, okay? We can't show or demonstrate value. We have a bit of a problem there. All right, So what should happen now is you've got you understand where the company's at. You've looked at the marketing environment externally. You understand the customers, the competitors. You understand what's going on in the environment that they're in. You've looked at the strength and weakness of those competitors, which should start to generate straight away some opportunities for you to start to think about what can I capitalize on. You understand where the threats are to the business then as well. You get a bit of an idea of what's going on. You've looked at the internal environment, so their financial readiness to go ahead. You've looked at their key personnel, what their levels of staffing is, the infrastructure, their skills, all those sort of different things. And now what you should be able to do is go away and start to measure and look at, is the company achieving what it set out to do? How are the competitors moving there? And start to work out whether or not this business is on track or not, okay? Or where they can possibly expand. What you should come up with then is a list of recommendations backed up with some sort of demonstration of how they're going to be cost effective and what they're going to bring to the company. Bearing in mind the financial restraints. No point suggesting a multi-million-dollar fix of international websites and all sorts of crazy stuff if you're dealing with a local corner store. Okay, keep it relevant. Keep it to the level that they're at. If you come up with anything too big and crazy, they're not going to be able to afford it and you've sort of wasted your time. So what should then happen is, once you've done all your analysis, you come up with what all your findings were, you come up with your list of recommendations, you're going to sit back down with the client, in whichever way that you agreed to when you did your first initial planning, and then you're going to provide them the plan and answer any questions. And that's pretty much you doing your marketing audit and delivering the findings at the back end of that audit. And if you've done it well, you'll either see that they were on track, they were off track, or new ways for them to take advantage of new and emerging markets. There's a lot that can come out of that. Now, obviously, these are just the considerations. The scope is particularly wide. It can be all sorts of different size companies, large or small, being very specific in their marketing, or whether you're just going to, look at the whole marketing plan, all right? And, the competitors could be anywhere. So this audit could be massive. It could be small. It could be done in an afternoon. It might take, months, okay, depending on the size you go into. But all those principles will still remain the same. The amount of information you have to handle will change, but the ideas and what you should be looking for will remain constant. And at the end, what we need to do is present them the recommendations. If you're on point, they'll probably take some of them up. But remember, it's always up to them to take it on board or not take it on board. That's their call. It's their business. Or if it's your business, have a good think about what you want to do there. And that's pretty much how we're going to go through and conduct a marketing audit. Good stuff. Good luck.